Could I have your attention, please?
Wait till you see. It's awful.
So Harry is back home with his aunt and uncle, where he has a room now instead of living under the stairs. He looks in a book.
I didn't know you could read.
And apparently nothing in his life was worth documenting between his birth and going to Hogwarts. His family's having company, so they want him to hide in his room. He does, but an elf snuck into the house and is comfortable enough to jump on Harry's bed.
Oh look, Potter. You got yourself a girlfriend.
But hurts himself when he's spoken to. And you'd think he would listen to Harry when he tells him to stop, because he's the first wizard that's ever been nice to him. Well, Dobby warns him that he's in danger and he shouldn't go back to Hogwarts.
He sounds like a dirty, rotten snitch to me.
Harry wants to go back anyway, so Dobby drops a purple cake on this lady, which apparently wasn't fully cooked.
You just ruined the punchline of my Japanese golfer joke.
So now that his uncle is sick of his crap, he makes sure he can't get rid of Harry for the next 9 months.
Purely out of the goodness of our hearts.
You would think he'd want him to go to school.
I know. Now he can just stay at home and mess with them with magic year-round. Because what's going to happen? He gets expelled from the school he can't go to?
I'll tell ya!
So a flying car pulls up to his window, and the Weasleys rip off the bars with a hook because they can't use magic on the bars because they'd get punished for using magic outside of Hogwarts.
Once their acne's cleared up, we'll be able to chop them up and stew them.
But they can use a flying car, and no one cares. So they take Harry to their house that totally doesn't look like a witch lives there.
What's the matter? You don't like my house? My house stink? That's right, it stinks!
Do you live here?
And Ron's sister is very subtle about her having a crush on Harry. And Ron's dad might have a crush too.
Good lord.
What about my sister?
Well, the mail comes via second-hand owl, and it seems that Dumbledore knows where Harry is, but not how he got there.
Doesn't miss a trick, that man.
They receive a list of school supplies and have to go shopping in the fireplace. Ron goes first, and they don't see that Harry's nervous about setting himself on fire.
He just caught fire.
Oh, and about time too. He's been looking dreadful for days.
He ends up in a head shop, where even though the adults know where he went, they don't follow him. He gets attacked by some crackhead wizards, but is saved by Hagrid.
Not you.
They bump into Hermione, where she fixes his glasses again, and she tells him that everyone was so worried about him that they went shopping.
You could have died!
There's a book sighting of this famous wizarding hero, and Draco is jealous that Harry gets attention and has his dad scare him. He also touches him inappropriately, and then tells Hermione that his son talks about her, completely ruining his 12-year-old game.
He's always doing that.
The next day, they go to the train station, and everybody but Ron and Harry go through the portal, and of course, no one sees this. But when the boys try to go through, they bounce off, and everyone sees it, and call them stupid.
They're an embarrassment to the wizarding world.
They know that they have to get to school, so instead of waiting to see if Ron's parents come back in a few minutes, they stupidly steal the car and drive it in broad daylight. Although they do turn on invisible, but only after people see it.
Don't you think I'll get caught?
They catch up to the train, which seemed really important at first, but then they just leave it and go park in a tree. And the tree does not seem to like this. Or the car. The car runs away, and then they get in trouble because people saw the flying car.
How many?
7. I guess British people don't notice things like that.
That's a lie.
And Snape is also upset about the alive dead tree. McGonagall wants to write their families, but Harry's family won't care, and I'm pretty sure the Weasleys know that Ron took the car.
That was very wrong indeed, boys. Very wrong of you.
So they're taking this gardening class where they have to take a baby plant out of one pot and put it in a different pot. But they cry, so they have to use earmuffs to muffle the sound.
Not earplugs?
No, you'd think that they'd use noise-canceling headphones or a silencing spell, but no, they use those furry things that barely keep your ears warm in winter. At dinner, Ron's owl dies in the potato chips, and his mom finds a way to yell at him for the car.
But if he knew the letter was going to yell at him, why would he open it in front of everyone?
Shut up. You're supposed to answer the phone when your mom calls, aren't you?
You're absolutely right.
Well, they go to Quidditch practice, where we see that Draco is now the seeker for the Slytherin team, and that this kid hasn't found a spell to fix his teeth yet.
Easy, Wood. I've got a note.
Apparently he bought his way onto the team, and automatically gets put into the most important position because he wants to be better than Harry at something.
He did not.
He calls Hermione a mudblood, so Ron tries to curse Malfoy, but turns it on himself instead, because his wand's broken.
Ooh, this calls for specialist equipment.
What's a mudblood?
Is a person born to muggle parents, but it sounds like one parent should be magic and the other was a muggle. So I think they really messed up on that. Hagrid tries to cheer her up by saying,
Why, there isn't a wizard alive today that's not half-blood or less.
But they know of at least 5 families in this conversation that are pure blood. Both of Draco's and both of Ron's parents, plus Harry's dad.
Poor boy doesn't know what he's saying.
In detention, Harry hears a voice, but Lockhart doesn't hear it. He follows it despite it saying,
I think it's going to kill.
And bumps into Ron and Hermione. They see that spiders are running away from a message written in blood on the wall, and assume it was them.
Oh, don't mind that. It's just the cat.
They also find the janitor's cat hanging from a hook.
They killed the kitty?
No, it was just petrified. Which makes you wonder, whose blood was used on the wall? All the other students walk in and think that Harry did it. The teachers suspect him too, but Harry was with Lockhart, and apparently it couldn't have been Hermione and Ron who left dinner early. The next day in class, McGonagall tells them about how Salazar Slytherin was basically Magic Hitler.
I've knocked that Adolf Hitler over 200 times.
And he wanted the school to only have purebloods in it. He also hid a monster in the walls that would kill anyone who isn't worthy. People have looked for 1,000 years for the Chamber of Secrets, but never found it.
Here it is.
So the kids plan to make a potion to transform themselves into Draco's friends to get him to admit that he's the one who controls the monster with really good penmanship. In a Quidditch match, the ball is trying to kill Harry, but they don't even stop the game when it's destroying the stadium. In fact, Harry and Malfoy still try to win.
You'll never catch me, Potter!
Salvador Ragdolly, you're under arrest.
You will never get me, super chicken!
Harry breaks his arm, but still catches the golden snitch. And it seems like the snitch might be a little easy for him to catch. Maybe they should change it to something harder. He then almost gets his head and balls crushed. Dobby visits him in the hospital and tells them that he's the one who's been messing with him, like the platform door and the attempted murder.
Dobby has to protect Harry Potter.
Dumbledore and some other teachers bring in a petrified kid and say that the chamber has been opened and there's a monster attacking students.
So they close the school, right?
No, they just warn the other teachers and carry on as usual. The next day, they try to make the transformation potion in the bathroom, but are interrupted by a ghost that lives in the toilet.
Show! Let's all throw books at Myrtle because she can't feel it.
They go to class where they're learning to defend themselves, so the teacher puts 2 kids that don't like each other to fight and expect things to go just fine. Draco throws a snake at Harry, and he talks it into possibly biting some kid. His friends are like, "You can talk to snakes?" And he's like, "How'd you know that?" Because apparently he doesn't remember speaking another language a minute ago.
I spoke a different language?
So now, because he's bilingual, everyone thinks he's the descendant of Slytherin.
But I'm not.
Because no one else could possibly learn another language. He then thinks it would be a good idea to wander the halls alone to clear his image. He comes across a petrified ghost and a kid, and the janitor finds him and gets McGonagall.
Just leave him there. Right, on we go.
Harry sees some more spiders running away too. She takes him to see Dumbledore, and on the way to his office, his bird sets himself on fire and turns into a chicken.
You don't think it was me, Professor?
I do not think it was you.
Dumbledore asks him if he knows anything, and he doesn't tell him about the voices or spiders.
Then why did he go up there?
Pretty much so we can find out that his bird has healing tears.
Exactly.
Well, it's Christmas now, so naturally they make some tranquilizer cupcakes for some fat kids so they can turn into them.
Even they aren't that thick.
Where have you two been? Pigging out in the Great Hall all this time?
They find Malfoy, who doesn't know who the heir is, but knows that the chamber was opened 50 years ago and it killed someone. And he hopes this time it kills Hermione. Sweet kid.
Now, Draco, play nicely.
And he actually might get his wish, because she turned herself into a cat and ends up in the hospital.
She's noticed?
The stairs are flooded because Myrtle was sad that someone threw a book at her, so she turned on all the faucets.
She's a little sensitive.
Turns out that the book is a diary of this kid Tom Riddle who can still talk to Harry through it. He's shown what happened 50 years ago when the monster was last released. He sees Dumbledore, who he doesn't recognize without his glasses.
Professor Dumbledore.
Yeah?
He sees that Hagrid had a pet spider, and Tom arrested him for it.
I don't like spiders.
So if Hagrid was the bad guy back then, why would they hire him to work there?
They wouldn't. It's just a crappy diversion that you'd have to be pretty stupid to be fooled by.
Books can be misleading. You wrote them.
But anyway, Hermione gets petrified, so they think it's now time to lay down some rules for the students' protection, since someone we actually care about's been hurt.
Because of recent events, these new rules will be put into effect immediately.
So of course, Harry and Ron immediately break the rules and sneak off to see Hagrid. They're interrupted by Dumbledore and the Minister of Magic.
What are you doing here? Get out of my house!
Lucius Malfoy also shows up and fires Dumbledore. Dumbledore acts like he doesn't know that Ron and Harry are there and tells them that he wants to help them.
Oh no! The invisibility booster must be faulty!
Hagrid also helps them by telling them to follow the spiders, and then he gets arrested. They bravely go into the dark forest.
Dodgy place. Don't want no one to see you there. People would think you were up to no good.
And into a spider cave, where a giant talking spider tells them that it wasn't Hagrid that did it, and then all the spiders try to eat them.
Strange. I've never seen spiders act like that.
The flying car has apparently been driving around the forest all semester, somehow on the same tank of gas, and picks them up. And apparently the self-driving car can only save them once, because when the spiders show back up, Ron has to drive.
Are you going somewhere?
They go visit Hermione, where no one has noticed this paper in her hand. She found out that the monster is a basilisk, and it's traveling through the sewer.
You're welcome to share my toilet.
This monster has the ability to kill anyone who looks at it directly in the eyes, and it just so happens that no one has.
It's just strange.
They turn a corner and find out that Ginny Weasley has been taken.
Who cares?
They know that it was Myrtle that the basilisk killed before, so they get Professor Lockhart to go with them to the women's bathroom, and she points out the entrance. And this should have been really easy to find since they have a bathroom sink with no pipes. If they would have just called a plumber sometime in the last 1,000 years, they would have found it. Apparently the witches of Hogwarts don't wash their hands.
It's disgusting.
So once they realize how big the snake is, the professor pretends to faint.
Heart of a lion, this one.
Head into the dark forest. Harry, I don't like this at all.
Shush.
Harry!
What?
And Lockhart takes Ron's wand and tries to erase their memories so he can run away. But this backfires because Ron never got a new wand and apparently Scotch tape doesn't help.
That wand needs replacing, Mr. Weasley.
This causes an avalanche and Harry gets separated from them. And it's a good thing Harry got stuck on the side with the door because you need to be able to speak Parseltongue to open it.
You're a parcel mouth? Why didn't you tell us?
I'm a what?
He finds Jenny.
Oh, Jenny, please don't be dead.
And sees Tom Riddle's memory ghost, who tells him he put Jenny under a spell to write the messages and release the snake. He reveals that he's the younger version of Voldemort.
You're Voldemort.
And that he wants to complete Slytherin's work of killing the Mudbloods and the Half-Bloods, which he is too. So I'm not sure how he can control the thing that's supposed to kill him.
You'll find I can be very persuasive.
Dumbledore's bird comes in and drops off a hat, and Tom releases the basilisk, which the bird blinds.
Your bird may have blinded the basilisk, but it can still hear you.
Well, it can't kill or petrify him by looking at him, but...
And I'll know if you move, because I have the ear of a snake.
But apparently it can't smell very good, though. Tom is sucking the life out of Jenny, and Harry sees that the Phoenix brought him a sword in the hat.
You won't be needing it.
He fights the snake, but gets bit. He uses the broken tooth to stab the diary, killing Tom's memory and releasing Jenny.
Funny, the damage a silly little book can do, especially in the hands of a silly little girl.
Fox flies in and cries on Harry, healing him, so now he can help get her out. The Phoenix is also strong enough to fly them all out of the bathroom pit. Dumbledore tells Harry that Voldemort transferred many of his powers into Harry when he tried to kill him as a baby.
He was nothing more than a murderer.
He wonders why he got put into Gryffindor, so he hands him the sword that he used to kill the basilisk, which he picks up by the bloody sharp end.
It's my nephew. He's very disturbed.
Lucius Malfoy shows up with Dobby wanting answers. He beats Dobby. So Harry brings him Tom's diary as a present. Since he's a lazy turd, he gives it to Dobby to carry, but Harry put a sock in it.
Dobby can only be freed if his master presents him with clothes.
Now, I refuse to believe that this guy who wears bows in his pretty hair has never made this elf do his laundry. But this loophole makes Lucius want to kill a child. Dobby stops him, but I'm not sure why he didn't do more than just this piddly spell. This is years of rage built up, and this is all he does?
Never tried to save my life again.
You both realize, of course, that in the past few hours, you have broken perhaps a dozen school rules, and there is sufficient evidence to have you both expelled.
Oh dear, we are in trouble.
Therefore, it is only fitting that you both receive special awards for services to the school.
I want to see some punishment!
So they heal all the petrified students and release Hagrid from prison.
If Hagrid ever gets out of Azkaban, I'll kill him.
Uh-oh, I smell trouble.
In the meantime, though, you three had best be looking after yourselves.
How
can Dobby ever repay him?
Just promise me something.
You'll like and subscribe.
It's over. It's just a memory.
It was dreadful.
Well, thank you. We'll just go.